Avatar The Last Airbender is one of my favorite shows of all time, and I'm talking about the animated series. It's so weird having to make that distinction. When I found out Avatar The Last Airbender was getting a live action adaptation, I was not excited. It wasn't only because M. Night Shyamalan's movie was bad, it wasn't the fact that the original creators stepped aside, it's because the more epic and fantastical, the harder to adapt, I feel. Not everything needs a live action adaptation. Some things can be left alone. That being said, if you're going to adapt something, I would prefer if you don't give me the same beat for beat, shot for shot, line for line remake, okay? Don't just give me the same thing. Make something interesting. That's my honest feeling. So of course, after I watched the live action adaptation, I'm not gonna come on here and complain about all the changes they made, right? I gotta be honest, Netflix's Avatar The Last Airbender live action adaptation was disappointing. It's a chore to get through. I found myself falling asleep, looking at the time, seeing how much the runtime was for every episode. It was bad. There were mostly mediocre performances and a couple of bad performances, if I'm being honest. The linear storytelling kind of took a lot of the mystery away from the show. A lot of stuff that we find out later on in the animated show, we find out right away in the live action show. And I'm not sure it's for the better. Had I not seen the animated show, I would hate this Netflix show even more. Had I not already cared about this world and these characters, I'm sure I would have dropped it. Speaking of characters, for this video, we're going to focus on Avatar Aang, and I'm going to tell you what I like and didn't like about what they did here. Some of these changes were simply unnecessary. In the animated series, Aang comes out of the ice very much a kid. He's playful. He wants to have fun.
I need to ask you something. What? Will you go penguin sledding with me? Sure.
Why? Because he's 10, and that's what kids do. He doesn't want to think about the war and his responsibilities. He's procrastinating, and he doesn't like being the Avatar. He never wanted to be. He doesn't want to deal with it, so he's taking his sweet time having fun. It's not until the solstice that he realizes that he doesn't have that much time. He talks to Avatar Roku, and he tells him, hey Aang, I know you thought you had all the time in the world, but guess what? You have to master all 4 elements before summer's end.
You must defeat the Fire Lord before the comet arrives. Mastering the elements takes years of discipline and practice. But if the world is to survive, you must do it by summer's end.
That's when he starts to stress out a bit and realizes that he can't mess around anymore.
I haven't even started waterbending and we're still weeks away from the North Pole. What am I gonna do?
It's character development that's not there in the adaptation. He's not allowed to be a kid. By the end of episode 1, he's giving monologues with all this resolve about being the Avatar. He sounds like he's 40.
They made the ultimate sacrifice for me. I need to follow through on what they wanted me to do. Complete my training and master all the other bending skills so I can bring balance back to the world. This was my home, and now it's gone. It's only after we've lost something that we realize how much it means to us. I don't know where this will all lead, and I don't know if I have what it takes. But the one thing I do know is, I'm the Avatar.
Why? Like, why? In an attempt to make the show feel more adult and mature, they don't let him be a kid. It comes across as fake, phony, and almost Disney Channel special. Like, no lie. Alright, let's keep going. In the animated show, one of my favorite Aang episodes is called The Storm. Aang is having nightmares. He doesn't want to talk about it. He eventually tells Katara the story of how he disappeared. He didn't like being the Avatar. His friends started treating him differently, and the elders wanted him to focus on training and not have fun. Aang found out that they were sending him away to the Eastern Air Temple. They wanted to separate him from Gyatso. He freaked out and ran away because he's a kid. He ran away. That's why he was having nightmares. He feels guilty. The night he ran away, he got caught in the storm, which led to him disappearing for 100 years. That's why he's having nightmares. He feels guilty because he ran away.
And then the Fire Nation attacked our temple. My people needed me and I wasn't there to help.
For reasons I don't understand. The Netflix show gets rid of this completely. Monk Gyatso gives him the news in episode 1. He gives this terrible monologue.
I know who I am. I like to play airball and eat banana cakes and goof off with my friends. That's who I am.
Does this sound like a 10-year-old talking? I'm just a kid. I just like having fun with my friends and eating junk food. He doesn't want to leave. He's scared of his power. He's afraid of being alone, but he doesn't run away. He goes up into the sky on Appa to clear his head.
You're right. Just needs to go up where things always make more sense. At least for now.
They took away the biggest reason for the guilt. They completely scrapped that character moment. For what? I don't understand that change. It's not about just wanting them to do the same thing that happened in the animated show. It's not. They didn't replace it with something interesting. It comes across like they made a calculation and they wanted Aang to come across more adult, and I think that's a mistake. Alright, what else was weird? In the animated show, Aang is asked to leave the Water Tribe. He comes back to make the save when he sees the Fire Nation approaching. He announces himself as the Avatar, and it's a good character moment for him.
Looking for me?
You're the Airbender? You're the Avatar?
On Netflix, Gran exposes him as the Avatar before the Fire Nation gets there.
Him is more than the last Airbender. You are the Avatar.
Gran is kind of annoying. Sokka yells at him for lying about being the Avatar, but he never said he wasn't.
Because he's a coward. He ran and people died.
Now there was some good things that the adaptation did that I liked. On Netflix, Aang doesn't leave the Southern Air Temple before making a grave for Gyatso. I thought that was a nice addition. In the adaptation, Aang is a dangerous prodigy that has to reel in his powers. It's one of the reasons why his friends didn't want him around. I like that better than the animated reason, which was, hey, you're the Avatar and you have an unfair advantage in games. Aang meets some of his past lives, and it's cool to see the differences there. It's more obvious and pronounced in the Netflix show. Avatar Kuruk says that Aang needs to isolate himself as the Avatar and not have too many loved ones around him because they'll end up getting hurt. Aang decides that he's going to walk his own path and use his friends. That was fine. After Zuko saves the Avatar as the Blue Spirit, they have a conversation. Aang tries to bond with him, and it's actually a decent scene. At the end of the season, after they deal with the attack from the Fire Nation on the Northern Water Tribe, the realities of the war, the death around him, is more impactful on Netflix, but he kind of gets over it really quickly. So what's the point? Yeah. So those were some of the positives, but I can't end this video without talking about waterbending. Aang doesn't waterbend the entire season. Not once. I don't know why. In the animated series, he waterbends in the Avatar state, and halfway through the season, there's a point where he's better than Katara. I don't know why he doesn't waterbend at all in the adaptation. When he gets to the Northern Water Tribe, one of the elders are like, it would have been wise for you to focus on your training during your journey.
It would have been wise to have focused on your training during your journey.
And I'm like, he doesn't have a trainer. That's why he was coming here. What? Oh, but then it turns out he had a master the entire time. Katara. Yeah, that's right. Don't get me started on that. That's a whole nother video. Katara was terrible in the adaptation, but we'll get to her later. So to wrap this up, Aang was not allowed to be a kid in the adaptation. I think it hurts the character growth because there's nowhere to go for him. Everything is all super serious from the moment he gets out the ice. Wasn't a smart choice. The kid playing Aang, he was okay, man. I'm not gonna give him that much crap. What were your thoughts on Aang and the show overall? Did you enjoy it? Did you like the changes? Let me know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.